Yes, friends, we are back again. We are again amongst the most amazing crowd of people here in Essen, and we're going to be doing a lot more interviews today because we cannot stop. It's very difficult to stop. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of exhibitors out there, and we cannot possibly see them all. So we are just trying to find out which ones are the best and which ones are the quirkiest, so you can get the most interesting games out there brought to you on your screens. Welcome to GMS Magazine at Spiel 2013. In this edition, we visit Plaid Games, Funforge, and Franjos. Mark Rivera tells us about his first collaboration with Backspindle Games, and we speak to Stephen Buonocore of Stronghold Games. But first, you Pickets as Spiel, they are here every year and they are here massive presence. The wonderful Days of Wonders. Adrian Martino, very nice to see you again, sir.
Nice to meet you.
How are you? You're already full. It's early in the morning and your booth is already full. How have you done that?
I don't know, like every time it's like we grow the booth and a lot of people come here to play, and I think it's it's still a family show. People like to play a lot, yes. So it's nice to get people play your games and enjoy. So
yeah, it's a beautiful atmosphere. You're promoting this year quite a few new things, and you're making a massive thing of Relic Runners. Tell me a bit about the game. What is it all about?
So Relic Runners is our new games. It's about jungle exploration, looking for treasure in temples. So you get to explore the jungle and dig into temples to find relics. And then when you find relics, you have to catch relics before the other ones. So it's kind of fast-paced game, which is light enough, I think, for family, but have a lot of interaction and a lot of optimization for more gamer people, for sure.
How long does it take to play? Is it a long game, short game?
No, it's quite short. I usually say it's like 15 minutes per player. So if you like 4 players, like 1 hour is the right time to play the game.
Brilliant. What else are you bringing to Spiel this year? Because I know it's not, Relic Run is not the only thing.
It's not the only thing. We have also the new expansion for Ticket Ride, which is in Netherlands this time. So it's a nice map with a bridge token that you have to pay when you lay track on bridges, and so it's very nice and also
So there's an element of economy there now.
A bit economy, because when you capture a route with a bridge, if the first one you pay to the bank, but if the second one, you get to pay the first one, so you get your money back from the other player. So it's really nice variant of Ticket Ride.
Yeah, that sounds quite a nice little twist. Now, I know that you guys are all about games, but I am absolutely gagging to talk about what you have in your hands, because I've seen just by glance a few and they look amazing. What are they?
So, SmallWorld is a game we love also, like always game. We love the gameplay, but we love the artworks as well. Yes. So we decided to make some Heart of SmallWorld figures. So those are 3D figures, 20 centimeters tall. We did the wizard, the Amazon, the Spiderine, and the skeletons. So both of them, the 4 of them, we sell on the show, and they're gorgeous. They hand-painted, each of one. We did a limited print run of 600 worldwide, so it's very few. They're expensive toys for adults, but they're so nice.
They are looking absolutely fantastic. What made you go into it? Because as a games company, that is game related, but it's not a game. Is it just a diversification of the business, or is it just a homage to the game itself?
It's more an homage, because we won't do figures for every game we have. We love the games. And it's also a pleasure for us to work on that. And we know there's a strong SmallWorld community who like the artworks, who like one race and not the other, you know. So I think it's nice. If you're a fan of SmallWorld, you know, something you have like on your desk at the office, you know, make you go, people, oh, what is it? It's a game I love, you know, it's SmallWorld. So, yeah, it's not diversification. It's just, you know, yeah, a one-time experience, let's say, on a specific game.
So does that mean that it's unlikely you will be doing more? Do you want to do more? What's the future for?
So far, we don't know. I mean, if we sell like everyone today, if every figure today, maybe we do more. But no, I mean, it's a different job, you know. It's a lot of time to create and to work on that. And no, we still make games.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. No, I sincerely hope that you sell them all today. Because quite frankly, they are so lovely, so seriously lovely, that I really hope you make a lot more. I really do. So best of luck with that.
Thank you.
Nice and early. We've got him just before the booth gets absolutely swamped, because with the selection of games that Plaid Games has got this year, they are going to be rushed off their feet at Spiel without questions. Colby, welcome to Spiel, man. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
Last year and the year before, you've been at Spiel before, but I don't think you had this many games and with such gravitas, because both Mice and Mystics and Bioshock have done fantastically well, and Summoner Wars still keeps going really, really strongly. Things are changing for you, aren't they?
Yeah, we're growing as a company. I was here 2 years ago at Essen with Plaid showing the Summoner Wars app early. And then we weren't here last year. This is the first year we're here at Essen with a booth. And so we're excited to see. We don't know what to expect, but we're excited.
Wait, but you know what to expect. I mean, come on, you have Bioshock behind you, Mice and Mystic, which ran out. It took me 6 months to get a copy of Mice and Mystic. It was very, very difficult. You should be expecting quite a lot. But what else have you brought in here? Because your company's still doing more things. What are you guys doing?
Well, here at the show, we're pushing Mice and Mystics, Bioshock, and Summoner Wars. We have some copies of City of Remnants with us. We're currently working and have and announcing Dead of Winter, which is a survival, psychological survival scenario game that we're really excited about, but it's not here at the show yet, except for the copy I have hidden away in my suitcase and I'm showing people. So yeah, those are the things on the horizon for us.
That's actually quite exciting. How is Bioshock doing? Because having a massive franchise behind you, has that helped? What has the experience been like?
It's brought a lot of attention to our company. I mean, you're pulling in all the fans of Bioshock, of which there are many, and they're passionate. And so you get a chance to interact with people who wouldn't have known your company otherwise. And that's really the value in a license, is it's built-in interest. And then if you have a good game there, people are going to find out about it, and then you're golden.
Yeah, which is fair enough. Now, what does the game play like compared with the video games? People who are very familiar with the video games, if they get onto the board game, will they be just as familiar? Is it similar? What's the game like? Because I still haven't seen it.
So in the video game, you take on the role of an ex-Pinkerton agent, Booker, and you're saving this girl named Elizabeth. And so you're playing this first-person shooter. In the board game, you're taking on the role of the Vox Populi and the Founders, which are the two main epic forces that are fighting for control of Columbia in the video game. Well, you get a whole new perspective. And Booker and Elizabeth are running around controlled by the game, and they're like this chaotic element while you're trying to fight out this war over Columbia. So it's more of a dudes on a map game where you're fighting for control of Columbia, and you're riding the skylines, and you're drinking vigors, and you're playing all the bad guys that you see throughout the game. You have a deck of cards with them. You're doing upgrades, all kinds of video gamey stuff, but in a realm that board games can do well. I don't think board games can do a first-person shooter well. And I don't want to retell that story. It's already expertly told. So we're kind of telling a different story. I think you can come to the game and enjoy it as it is, even if you don't know what Bioshock is. It's just a good game. But if you know Bioshock, the video game, you're going to get more enjoyment out of understanding, this is this person's motivation, this is what's going on here with the Elizabeth timeline, things like that.
In terms of the expandability of the game, are you guys going to have to wait for new video games to come out, or will you be able to create new expansions for it independently of what the release schedule for the video game is?
Well, with this one, we actually produced it alongside the video game. So the video game wasn't out when we started working on it. We started working on it a year before the video game even released. And so it was just a matter of working with Irrational on what they were doing. They were setting the stage for us. And eventually, you know, about 4 or 5 months before the game release, we got to play the video game for the first time because it was done by then. And we flew into Boston and played it.
So will you have more expansions for the board game?
There aren't any currently announced just yet, but we really hope to work with Irrational some more in the future on some cool stuff.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed indeed. Now, talking about expansions, Mice and Mystics.
Yep.
Expansions. Tell me.
This is the first expansion to Mice and Mystics. It's a storybook expansion, which means you get a whole new storybook, you get a couple new characters, you get new search cards, new various bits in this, and then we're going to do an expansion called Downwood Tales, which is an outdoor, and it's going to be a big box. It's going to be the same size as the original Master Set. It's going to be new characters, new everything, but it's a continuation of the story.
One thing about Mice and Mystics that really amazed me when I played it is how extremely solid the story element of the game is. Will you at some point consider or having plans to get out either an adventure development kit for people to bring out their own adventures, or a role-playing game based on the game, because it's rich enough to be able to do that?
I think what we do well is board games, so I don't know that we'll step into the role-playing side of things. I think what's really cool about Mice and Mystics is it offers you all that story of a role-playing game without all that preparation. But we are definitely interested in helping along fan efforts to create stories within that world. We very much like to collaborate with our fans and have our fans feel like they're a part of what we're doing. So that's definitely something that we're looking at.
That should be pretty cool. So far, because I know that it's just begun, but what do you make of Spiel as an exhibitor by yourself? What's the experience being like?
I think you'll have to ask me in a few hours. The hall hasn't opened in full yet, so we haven't really had that exhibitor experience. Other than the imagined nightmare of having jet lag and running a show. When we run a show back home, it's exhausting enough. Now we have to do it having traveled internationally. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, plenty of caffeine in your body and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a chance to meet fans that we wouldn't normally get to meet.
Well, best of luck, man. I don't hope. I know you're going to do amazingly well. So congratulations in advance.
Thank you.
You've heard his voice in the podcast because he sent us a clip when we reviewed Mice and Mystics. And if you listen to the podcast, you know that if you don't like the game, I don't want to know you. Jerry Hathorn, Mice and Mystics, thank you for designing it, dude. What an amazing game.
Oh, thank you very much.
What was the process of designing the game like? Because it's extremely tight for both adults and children. It plays very well with both. How do you do that?
Well, first of all, I played the game with my own children, so that's sort of where I began. The design process is probably quite a bit different than most games because I wrote the story first and then designed the game around the story.
How long did it take you to do that, and how many times did you have to play test it before it was what you wanted it to be?
It takes a lot of play testing, especially with the initial game because you're starting from scratch. So I'm designing a game system and writing a story to go along with it, so that they blend together. I had to play each chapter many times to get it right.
Did you get tiresome?
No. I mean, I enjoy it. It's a nice activity. It's it's a hobby that's turned into sort of a sideline career for myself. So
that sounds pretty good. And how did your relationship with Plaid Games begin? I presume you didn't want to go just to anyone to get the game out. How did you get in contact with them?
Well, I've been working with Colby, the owner of Plaid Games, for many years, so it was just a natural fit to go with my friend Colby.
And how was the process of designing the production values of the game? Because that's some of the things that Mice and Mystics truly excels. I mean, those minis are just delightful.
Yes, the miniatures were sculpted by my best friend who lives in my city. His name is Chad Hoverter, and we've been good friends for many, many years. So having him do the sculptures is really an advantage for us because I live in the same town and I'm able to work with him, and he knows what I want. As far as designing the game and getting the visual appeal of it all and everything, we were very, very specific about how we wanted the game to look from the beginning. We wanted it to be an enchanting storybook style game that would it would have this immersion not only visually but also in the depth of the story and stuff like that.
One criticism that one of the people that I played with had was about the time constraint of having to flip the pages. Was that something that you did intentionally, or would the game play just as well without that for people who don't want that time limit?
The time limit was something that we put on rather in the later parts of designing the game, and that was due to playtester feedback, where they were feeling like there was no pressure to move the story along. And once we added in the timer effect, we found that we were really able to get the time that the game took to play, we were able to really control that quite well. And so, it's a light game, but it takes about an hour and a half to play, and you can almost predict how long it's going to take to play.
And the last thing also I noticed when we were playing, that the design of the tiles within the tiles themselves to control the movement was also really very well crafted. How long did it take you to come up with this is the right places to put the broken tiles so the mice can go zigzagging instead of just in straight lines?
Yes. Well, it took a long time and several renditions of the art before we got it right. And then we would play test on the most current version of the art, and then any kind of input that my playtesters had, then I would give that to the artist, and he would make the adjustments that we needed. But I was adamant from the beginning that I wanted the players to be able to play right on the art and not have to deal with grids or anything like that. I wanted it to be that immersive.
Which is quite amazing. Now there is one expansion already out. What are your plans for Mice and Mystics? What would you like to happen with the game in, say, 2 or 3 years' time? I love the fact that the game still is continuing to grow. So I'm just enchanted by that whole idea that we can expand and grow the game and take all these different avenues. We really have a sort of a wide open mind about what we want to do with the game, and we're entertaining all different kinds of ideas. I'm currently working on the next big expansion due to come out next year. I'm about 80% done with that, and it's going to take the mice out into the forest, and the whole game is going to be played outdoors and the tiles are going to still be the same, where there's art and that you're playing on the art, but it's all going to be outdoor environments, and you're going to be able to battle in the trees and underground and on the forest floor. That sounds amazing.
It's going to come with 3 new mouse heroes and a whole bunch of new minions, all kinds of figures. Chad Hoverter is working on the sculpts as we speak. You're going to have big furry critters to deal with and small furry critters to deal with, and snakes and lizards and everything else.
Well, what can I say? 2014 cannot come quickly enough now, really. Thank you very much indeed, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
It cannot be said that GMS Magazine hasn't sprouted great designers. Because that gentleman that you see here, he used to be the co-host of the GMS Magazine podcast in a previous incarnation. And then he decided that he was too good for the podcast and he was going to go out there and create his own board games. And if you had left the podcast and not done a board game, I would be shoving this microphone down your throat now. But you have. You've created Luchador Mexican wrestling dice.
Luchador!
Right. Obviously, we had the first Luchador World Championship at the UK Games Expo last year.
Yeah, who won that?
Where I mercilessly beat up Michael Fox and Rory O'Connor badly. with great pleasure.
It's on YouTube.
Unashamedly. Now, in a bit slightly more seriousness though, how have things changed since? We are talking days is 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Where is Luchador now?
Yeah, right now this is the release of the game, the full production version. So it's a lot of the last few months has been all about that, getting that all organized, the production stuff, working with the company in China. The guys in Backspindle have been awesome. They've just been one heck of a job.
Wait. Are we talking about the same Backspindle people?
Yeah, those two idiots.
No.
You know.
Now, okay, Backspindle, it was going to work because we know they are absolutely amazing guys. But how has the relationship evolved from the moment you contacted them with the prototype of your game until getting it out? Because they obviously brought a massive wealth of knowledge and experience.
Yeah. Well, I came to them, when I came to them, it was in, I'd say better than raw state, but still needed development. And you get to a point where you think, I need some more support here just to kind of get it sorted out. And they grabbed it with gusto, total enthusiasm, and they added some extra bits and pieces to it. And really, I think last couple of months, just polishing it up, make sure it's really sweet. And the feedback today just ratifies everything we've done, to be honest. It's been really terrific.
What's been the biggest change that you had to do to make the game better when you got it to them?
Well, I think part of it was making sure we got a good art for a start. We had some issues around art, but a lovely guy out in Malaysia, Max Meow God, has done a startling job, really, and he put his own spin. I mean, the art is partially hilarious, but also you could just get the soul theme for it. I mean, he brought it right out, so that was a big deal. I think getting it organized early enough to get to production so that we didn't have to worry about the stress of not missing Essen, that was a big part. I think also the challenge of trying to make sure it remained true to its core, because there was a temptation to try to make it very geeky, but we remained true to that fact that we wanted it to be mass market and to remain very accessible and very, very balanced. And we managed to keep that without succumbing to a temptation to start making it too specialist. And I think that was a great decision.
Anybody coming through and getting Luchador, what can they expect?
One heck of a noisy game, as you experienced. I mean, the screaming and yelling and shouting is just hilarious, really. It's not meant to be a real thinky game. However, there are some extra decisions that we put in there just to make it a little bit more challenging for people, which we thought would be enough. It's ultimately all about, if you love wrestling, you should love this game. There's no reason why you wouldn't. But even if you don't know much about wrestling, if you like just having a good laugh for 15, 20 minutes, lots of interaction, lots of tension, and yet it's accessible for kids, adults, everyone in between. It's a well-rounded game.
Now, it is a dice game, and it's purely based on dice roll. So people expecting a level of strategy are going to be disappointed.
Yeah, if you're looking for a thinky Euro kind of game, it ain't going to happen. It is very much luck-based. However, the theme has come out so strong. There's all kinds of theme around the world of Mexican wrestling, and hits and damage and all those kind of things. So that more than, I think, compensates for that. I mean, if there's no way you like luck in your games, just don't even bother. But if actually you like a good short game, which has got luck, but actually there's lots of interaction, there's lots of socialization in it, in terms of just getting along with people and having just a hilarious laugh, then actually it works really well. I mean, I've had people say, this is almost the ideal tournament game, because you could have very quick playing tournaments, lots of people in there. I mean, I even had somebody say to me, you know what, this is going to replace King of Tokyo, which I thought, what? You got to be.
That's quite a claim.
Well, yeah, they were very strong about it. I thought, well, okay, whatever. I'll believe it when I see it. But you know what? I thought that was quite a compliment.
That would be an amazing problem to have.
One of the greatest things for me during yesterday and today, as some top name designers have been sitting here playing, and they walked away with copies, and that to me, it said everything. And comments along the lines of, this is the kind of game that I would love for my family, and people buying it as gifts. And I thought, oh wow, this is great. We're really getting somewhere.
Now I did like an awful lot that we had a 4-player game, and there is a way for people to come in and out of the ring. But I would like, not just to tell about it, I would like to show people how it's actually done if you want to tag somebody and come in and out.
Right. So, tag to actually,
Otherwise,
tag teams too, they're gonna high five.
Yes.
And we've written it in the rules. We've actually said you have to high five. If you forget to high five, guess what? You can't tag out. And on top of that, then you have to roll a die to see if you're actually successful. If you roll a miss result, you get pulled back into the ring. And so and people are just laughing all over the place on that. It's very funny, very funny.
what are the plans for the game? Because it is very expandable.
Yes, yeah. Well, there's lots of stuff going on in our little heads. The first thing to say is that we're talking to a number of different people about different languages. We've been approached by Japan, Brazil, Spain, France, Germany, Belgium already, just in the short time we've been here. People are talking about we need to get this in all other languages and fast. So that's a big part of the focus right now. We're also looking at distribution. So that's they're going to be the key focuses. But I mean, it is very expandable. We're looking at we're already talking about new characters, new luchadors with new art. So Max, get ready. We're talking also about perhaps putting in some scenarios. So because wrestling has all this kind of external to the wrestling stories going on. We've got a backstory, which I'm not going to give too much away, but where there's some family feuds going on. So we're thinking of putting in some drama in there, and maybe some scenario cards to add to the drama and add to some of the stuff that can happen. We're also talking about different types of matches, like a last man standing match, maybe a WrestleMania type of match. So lots of things are going on in our heads. We just have to initially get the initial core game going, get distribution going, get our heads around the language stuff. And then once that happens, I think we'll have a bit of space to say, okay, right, what's the next evolution of what we do?
I believe at some point you mentioned, because I know it's one of your favorite subjects ever, that you were going to do a Luchador zombie survival game.
Well, yeah, you know what? Funny enough, yes. We could be tempted to do stuff like that. I mean, what's really great about this is that, wise guy, and you'll laugh at the game I'm working on right now, my new design.
Not working on a zombie game.
Zombie game.
Viewers, this man hates zombies and loves aliens, and he's ending up working with zombies.
Yeah.
If that doesn't prove scientifically that designing games drives you mental, nothing does.
Well, it's true, and it might be a zombies versus aliens game.
Well, then the zombies will win anyway. What's the point?
Well, not if I have my way. So we'll see. Yeah. So we'll see.
Your way doesn't matter. It's the way of the zombie that matters.
Well, zombies, okay. I'm getting to be fond of them in a way. So you can say.
Mark, best of luck with the rest of the show. I can't imagine you're going to get many copies left by the end of the show.
So that'd be great, yeah. And for folks in America, Game Salute is going to have a supply coming back from Essen.
Oh, good.
So hopefully they'll be able to get some stuff going on.
Good old Dan Yarrington, count on him.
Well, he said he would, so we'll see. All right, thank you.
A very big booth with some very big games and having very big crowds being attracted by Funforge. And I'm with Philippe Lura and Eric Zimmerman, the people behind some of the games around here. Now, Philippe, you are the man behind Funforge. Yeah, you're the evil genius. You've been coming to Spiel quite some time, but I think this year this is the biggest booth you've ever had, because I cannot remember seeing the comet heading for Earth before, and this time I've seen it a lot.
Yes, that's true. It's the first time that we have such a booth. The previous year, it's the 6th year that we are here, but the previous year we had quite regular booth, like the ones that you can see around. And this year, with such a game, we decided to have such a booth.
And tell me, what games are those that you have come out? Because they really are keeping you extremely busy. Seriously, I've come by your booth, I don't know how many times. Not once I've seen a free table. What are you bringing out?
We are mainly bringing two new games. The first one, which is the big release of SN, is Eric Zimmerman's Quantum. It's a game that Eric will describe better than me after. And the second one is the expansion for Tokaido from Antoine Bozat, which was our big success of last year. And we created a new expansion for this game that we showcased too on the fair.
So Eric, tell me about Quantum. Firstly, it looks gorgeous. It seriously looks beautiful.
I can't take credit for the illustrations. I did the game design.
So
I worked with the amazing Funforge team, and we collaborated on the visuals, but they're really responsible for the style of the game.
okay, we'll blame them for that. Let's blame you for the game. What's the game all about?
In Quantum, 2 through 4 players each are a fleet commander, and they're controlling a small squadron of ships, trying to spread influence throughout a sector of the galaxy. And dice are your ships. So a 1, for example, can only move 1, but it's the most powerful because low numbers are powerful. So a 1 is a battle station. It's very slow but very strong, whereas a 6 is a scout. It's your fastest ship, but it's fragile and light. So every ship has a unique special ability. Now you spread your influence in the sector by placing little quantum cubes, the markers of your influence on planets. And to place a quantum cube on a planet, you need to have the right ships in orbit around the planet. So every planet has a number, like let's say 9. And if you have ships that add up to 9, you can place a quantum cube there. So there's a puzzle element of trying to get the right ships where you want them, but there's also strategy about where you go next and tactics as you battle other ships on the map. I should also say that every ship has its own unique ability, and you use them in combination to sort of chain your movements and get your ships where you want them. There's also cards that give you more advanced special abilities.
How are the dice used? Are they randomly rolled, or do the players choose the value they want to use on any given round?
When you first look at Quantum, you see a table full of dice and you think, oh, it's some kind of gambling game. But actually, it's quite strategic. At the beginning of the game, you roll your starting ships. And occasionally, you might re-roll one of them if you decide to change a ship. But usually, the ships stay where they are in terms of the number that's facing up. So even though it looks like there's a lot of randomness because of all the dice, it's actually a very strategic game. What we tried to do with Quantum was make a game that was quite deep, but also elegant and streamlined, so it's actually quite short. A 2-player game is about 30 minutes, and a 4-player game is about an hour, plus or minus, depending on the map that you're using. So the maps actually are modular, made out of tiles that can be rearranged. When you buy the game, there are 30 map designs that come. They're like levels, and they range from very small ones that are more like tight battle arenas to very large ones where you're really exploring and slowly building up your power and empire. So I'm also, as the designer, what I'm most excited by is seeing what players will come up with, because we give them suggestions for making their own maps. And at the Funforge website, we're going to have a place where players can upload their map designs and share them with each other.
You see, normally I tend to ask people, especially the publishers, what did you see in the game that made you want to go for it? But I think that would be a really obvious question to ask, because it's a lot in that game to like. I mean, it sounds really, really exciting. But from your point of view, once you saw Eric and thought, yeah, I want to publish this game, this sounds good, how did you go about deciding on the artwork, the theme? Did you just run with what Eric told you, or did you have to change a lot of stuff?
It's always a work between the author and us. I mean, it's a lot of exchange. Eric came with a game which was quite finished in terms of game design, on mechanics and rules. With a theme, it was a sci-fi game in space, which was quite obvious with the way it was designed. At first sight, Eric did a very abstract game, which was very pure, almost white, almost totally white. The cards didn't hold any artwork, it was just text. It was really efficient in terms of game mechanics. And we discussed, and I suggested, Eric, that it would be maybe a good thing to add some immersive artworks and things like this, which he agrees on. And so we worked on all the artworks. It was a some kind of puzzling elements to find the right artworks for the right cards and things like this. And the things have been built like this, stone after stone, you know. But it was really an exchange between Eric and us for the creation of all of the visual part of the game.
Eric, did you expect when you came out with a video with the game and you came to Philippe and said, "Hey, we'll do this"? Did you expect that the game was going to end up looking the way it has?
No, Philippe is right that the game was quite abstract. When I presented it to him, it had already won an award as a prototype at a game festival for game design, so I knew that it had something special, and that's when I really started seeking out publishers. And I was introduced to Philippe through a mutual friend, Olivier Luchador, who's a game designer. Yes.
If you don't mind, I need to say that it's a silly story, because when Olivier, our mutual friend, phoned me and said, "I have a prototype from a friend, you should test it." At first sight, I thought, "Oh, another prototype from a friend of a friend. Okay, be polite, test it." And so I was really reluctant about the game at first sight. Then I playtest the game for 5 minutes, literally, and I think, wow, this game is really new. I think there's really something that is fresh, new, and beautiful in the way it's designed. We don't want to miss it, so we have to do this game. And it was such a feeling that I was sure that the game will be a success. I mean, a gamer success, a public success, as we see here, as it's so obvious in the way you can play it. So.
Now, if people want to get hold of the game after Essen, after Spiel, how can they do it? Do you have already arranged distribution for this in the rest of Europe and the US?
Yes, in the US, yes. We are collaborating with Passport Game Studios, and they are currently bringing the game to the US. Hopefully it will be released before Christmas in good quantities. And for Europe, we are already working with a lot of distributors. We are in discussion with Polish distributor, German distributors. We already have a distribution in France. We will have distribution probably in the UK, in a lot of Italy too. I don't have the complete list in mind right now, but yes, the game will come in wholesales. Yeah.
Terrific. Eric, what's going to happen next?
Well, we're talking about what happens next with Quantum already. So we're looking into expansions, for example, that might let 5 or 6 people play the game, that get a little bit deeper into the unique powers that each player might have that are different from each other. And we have other secret plans too that we're cooking up with the evil genius at Funforge. Yeah.
And what about Funforge? Where are you taking the company? Where are you taking your games?
We have a lot of projects. We are still working on our past titles. I mean, like Crossroads, the expansion for Tokaido is something new from a quite old game, which 1 year old. Wow! And we also released a new edition of the Jamesoners game, which is called The Big ID, which is a party game that I personally like a lot. We sell really well this game, and we are preparing a new edition of this game. We also have a lot of secret projects around board games, digital games, different things that, because we are also people coming from video games industry at first sight. So we have a lot of projects. We also have new projects with Antoine Bozard, the designer of Tokaido and also Seven Wonders and all of these big games, which is a game around the story of the Seven Samurais, a cooperative games, which is really cool, but it's still a prototype for the moment. We hope to release it next year, probably for Gen Con, or at least to show it at the Gen Con next year. But we have a lot of projects.
That sounds really, really exciting. Congratulations on the success of Spiel, because it's looking amazing. The whole people seem to be having a tremendous amount of fun, which is wonderful. So I hope you sell out. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
For your time. It's busy day. We are now at the Franjos Spiel, and we're talking with the gentleman who designed Glastonbury. Gunther, very, very good to meet you. We reviewed your game not long ago. You're obviously Master Chief, Master Wizard of all wizards with a hat. Glastonbury is playing very, very neatly indeed. It's a lovely little game. For the people out there who don't know what it plays like and what it's all about, what can you tell us about Glastonbury?
Glastonbury depends on a game I invented 2001.
Right.
You know, it's a Kupferkessel, Copper Kettle and Co. It was 2001. It was on the best list in Germany, Spiel des Jahres, and it was for 2 players. And now this game is for 4 players, and with a little bit difference and different cards. And you have to gather cards, items for magic things. And you have to get all 4 things of one item. It's best because you get a bonus from 5 points. If you have only 3 items, 3 cards of the item, you get the worth of the cards. The cards are 1, 2, 3 or 4 points. If you have only 2 cards, it's worth nothing. And if you have only 1 card, it's minus. And the problem is, you gather the cards on a stack, you say stack? It's okay. on your copper kettle, and you're normally not allowed to look, and you have to remember the cards you have already in there. That's the problem a little bit.
One thing, though, that Michael was mentioning is that the game is quite child-friendly. It's quite easy to learn.
Yes, it's easy because it's a very easy mechanism for walking around. You have a figure and it walks around, and every card you take gives you the steps for the next time. If you take an item with a 2, so you have 2 steps next time, and you walk around and take 1 card of the row. It's very easy.
Yes, it's quite simple, and yeah, there is a lot to it. It's quite a nice game. It's not a silly filler.
Yes, because the rules are easy, I think, but you have to think a lot of things, or you have to think about during the game. You have to remember your cards. You have to plan. If I'd like this item, but it has a wrong number for the next time. So I have to look for the number and for the item, and I have to decide what to do. And sometimes I have to go into the corner, and in the corner there you get no card next time. So it's the problem.
You also went for, I mean, you have possibly the tallest meeples on the planet. They are gorgeous.
Yes. They're nearly the same as in the game for 2 players, only 2 and now we have 4 of these big players. For it, I think it's very good. It's also good for the price with this big figures and a lot of cards. I think it's very good now. Yeah.
Why did you go for such big figures? Because you could have done it smaller, but why big?
Yes, you don't really need them. You could take smaller ones. Yeah, you could take meeples, but it's a little bit the feeling of the game. I think they're looking like magic and wizards. Yeah, and so it gives the game a little bit of magic.
Yes, it totally works, and I have to say it's quite reportedly from a friend. It's quite nice to be able to grab the whole figurine and just move it about, so it plays very nicely like that.
I think it's always a point of a game. It's not only the mechanism, and it's only a little point, but it's a point of how you feel in a game. And with the big ones, it's very much nicer, very nicer.
In terms of looks, the game is delightful. The artwork is absolutely lovely. How did you go about choosing what kind of artwork you wanted to have in the game?
Yes, I did a prototype with clip arts and so on. It was not this way, and it's from Franz Vohwinkel.
Oh, right, okay.
And I think it's he and Michael Menzel. They are the the best. They're really the best. And it's the part of the artwork is from the 12-year-old game, and in this time he was the best and only Franz Vorwinkel. And he added some new cards, and now I think it's still great. Yeah?
It is delightful. It really looks lovely. What are the plans? Because I cannot imagine you having nothing else in mind for it. What's going to happen next?
Yes, I have a big bag with prototypes with me here, and we'll see. We'll see. I just was at Haber for a new children game. It will appear in Nuremberg, a big one. We'll see what this will be, and perhaps you know I have a lot of games, geographic games at Cosmos in Germany. You know them? There will be a card game in Nuremberg too, and the other ideas we will see.
But you're very busy, obviously.
Yes, it's my work. I don't at the moment. I'm not at school anymore for 10 years or more than 10 years now, and so it's my work.
Good. Well, I mean, the booth is extremely busy. Obviously, people are enjoying themselves. I know that Glastonbury is a lovely, lovely game. So I'm really hoping that it will do fantastically well.
I have a question. You know Glastonbury, the city? You have been there? Oh.
I haven't, no.
Because we talked about the name. It was a problem. The name was a big problem. Kupferkessel, Copper Kettle was the German name, and now we wanted an international name. But all international magicians or all things are licensed or not free, and there was no possibility. Merlin or all these things didn't work. So I was in Glastonbury last year, and it's a very esoteric and magic city. So I thought this should be the name.
Which is, fair enough, because I've never been there, but everybody reports exactly the same. It's quite a wonderful place, so it suits nicely.
Yes, we have been on the tour, on this tower here behind, in the background and so, and it's very nice. And so if you know it, you find the things in the artwork.
That's fantastic. Gunther, best of luck with the game. I really hope it will do fantastically well, and look forward to seeing what else you come up with, because I'm sure it will be fantastic.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
For the next interview, I am joined by my co-host and reviewer from the Board Game Review Room podcast, Michael Chamberlain.
Right, yes, we are having friends. That much fun, because being with Stephen Buonocore from Stronghold Game is that much fun.
That's right.
Stephen, how are you doing, sir?
Doing great. Always having a good time, and always love hanging out with my friends from GMS Magazine.
Thank you, sir. Now, okay, I'm going to start with the obvious. Space Cadet Dice Duels. You have virtually sold out already.
Yeah, almost sold out. We've got whatever's sort of on the shelves right now and on the table. So we've got about 25 copies left. It's going to be in the States in retail in 2 weeks. So all of the people in the United States and Canada and across the world should be able to get it too. So we're very excited about this game, as you know. It's going to be a big hit. Just all over the place. It's going to be one of the biggest hits, I think.
Which obviously, I mean, everybody else is very excited about it because it's selling out. But tell, for the human beings out there who still haven't taken a look at it, what's different about Space Cadet Dice Duels? Because it's nothing really like Space Cadets, is it?
There really isn't anything like Space Cadets Dice Duel at all. And it's a follow-on game to our big game from last year, Space Cadets. Space Cadets was a completely cooperative game. You're manning the bridge of a non-IP infringing starship, and you're on a mission. So it's mission-based. Or each one playing its own mini game. But now in Space Cadets Dice Duel, what you're doing is you are playing a team versus team real-time dice rolling starship combat game. So it's your team of 2, 3, or 4 against the other team of 2, 3, or 4, and you are now going out to try to destroy the other ship, the enemy ship, and with dice rolling like crazy. But it's not a luck fest, even with all that dice rolling, because there's a lot of tactics. A well-oiled team, a team that really knows how to play the game well, is going to beat a team that's inexperienced every time. It's a lot of tactical decisions you really need to make to be smart in that game.
Michael, I think we have a member of the review team that's going to be quite interested in taking a look at this one. Max is probably going to love screwing everyone else up.
Oh, yeah. You give Max an excuse to blow something up, he'll do it. So, definitely. I mean, whether it's his own ship or the opponent's is less certain, but...
Well, you can blow your own ship up, too, because you can drop a mine, and if you run into it, oh, well. And we're going to have an expansion. We already have an expansion designed for the game. Jeff, we had pre-planned for the fact that we thought it was going to be a big hit and that we could do an expansion. So some of the dice faces have no effect in the base game, but they will in the expansion that's going to come out absolutely during 2014. Maybe you'll be able to launch yourself into a fighter in that expansion. So that's where we're going with that.
There's also rumor of another one in the Space Cadet series coming out before all too long as well, isn't there?
Who's your spies? How do you know that? Oh my God, I might have mentioned that at someplace else, I guess, right? Yes, we haven't announced it, and I really can't go too deeply into it because literally it's not announced. But we do have a contract, and we will have another game in the Space Cadets line, not by Jeff Engelstein and family, but Jeff has sanctioned it because he's played it and he loves it. And this will take our intrepid heroes in the game off the ship. That's all I'll say. They'll be away off the ship. So you can consider what that might mean from not only a title, but how the game will play out.
We'll have to ponder on that one. And on the notes of Space Cadet, and just to move on to the games after this question, when are we going to see Space Cadets, the cartoon series?
Yes, Warner Brothers has approached me, and no, not quite on the horizon, I'm sorry. But if you know anybody who would like to try to license that IP, I have no problem.
Well, viewers, somebody should, definitely. Now, as you know, Michael is dead king on Core Worlds. He lives on Core Worlds.
There's rumor that Mr. Parks has been working on an expansion for this to do with the heroes. Are we looking forward to that in the near future, or is this a distant project for us?
Yeah, that one's less secret because we've talked about that a little bit publicly as well. Andrew's been so busy with his current Canterbury Kickstarter and the production of that. He's starting his own publication company as well. So with Quixotic Games building up, and he has another time deadline project for another publisher that he's doing right now, and that's going to be running for the first several months of the year. He will then gear up to do the next expansion for Core Worlds. I would like to hope we can get that out for next Essen. It's going to be very, very tight, but we absolutely will do another one since Core Worlds has done so well for us, and everyone loves the expansion. So if you bought into the Core Worlds universe, I guarantee you're going to see some more. And okay, here's something that you haven't heard anywhere, and no one's heard it. I might even be expanding Core Worlds outside of the Core Worlds deck building game as well, creating a line in Core Worlds as well. So I can't say anything more because that's vaporware at the moment, but I have ideas on how we can do that. That is exclusive for you.
You just made that person very, very happy.
Very good.
Very happy.
You have another games in here that seem to be doing really well. I saw somebody at the hotel playing Going, Going, Gone, and they were having pure, unadulterated fun with that game. How has it been received around here?
Oh no, absolutely fantastically. Any game where you basically are going to be sitting around and just in 10 seconds or less tossing cubes into cups on a table as somebody's counting down and then pushes a paddle on over those cups so that you can't then do it, and cups and cubes are flying all over the place. So yeah, no, it is just a silly party fest. It's a really great party game. Quick filler, let's play this thing and laugh and get crazy, and then move on to the more meaty stuff. But another one of those games is completely unique, but simple as hell. I mean, you can play that game with your family, you can play that game with your grandmother if you don't elbow her. And Scott Nicholson, that's by Scott Nicholson, as you know, from Board Games with Scott, one of the original podcasters and original video reviewers. I mean, he was doing this before I was in the industry, before you were doing it, and you know, he came and he approached us with this game, and he said, like, listen, this is the kind of game that I think you're going to like because you like unique stuff, Steven. And this is the kind of game that people are going to be called play in public games. You put this game and, you know, maybe you play games at a food court in a mall or something like that, and you're doing that, and people are going to come up to like, what is going on here? What are you guys doing? So you can show people that there's more than just sitting around with Monopoly and things like that, but there's another game that can be played easy, fast, fun by just about anybody. And Scott's already done a promotional video for it. He's done another episode of Board Games with Scott, basically, which is a promotional video, though. It's not a critical review, of course, of his own game. He says it right on there. This is more of an advertisement, so, and he shows how the game plays, and he shows the variants. He's already created like a half a dozen or more variants for the game, including the Vassal variant, where you drop the cubes from up here, which is a joke thing he has right at the end of the video. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we're gonna have that at Board Game Geek Con, and in fact, at Board Game Geek Con, we're one of the few official events on the schedule. They do very little of that, and he's going to run a tournament for Going, Gone. So just think about that silliness for all that time, and we're going to be giving away big prizes and everything like that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Do you think, and I'm very much hoping so, that will have picked Scott Nicholson to making more games in the future?
I'm sure he's got lots of ideas, yeah, at this point. I mean, he had a bad experience, I think, with his first game. It wasn't marketed at all, Tulip Mania. It wasn't really marketed. The company went under, so he didn't sell many games, and very few people saw the game. But obviously, if he comes to a good publisher,
a professional
that's going to be around and going to market his game and believes in his games, you know, we'll be pushing it out there, and I think people are going to love it when they play the game. So
that leaves us with one more new release from you. We've got Space Sheep as well, haven't we?
That's right. Actually, that's not the only one, but we'll talk about that one first, and then we'll talk a little bit about some other stuff too. Space Sheep, which has got that very interesting cover that again looks like some other IP, but it is a parody. It's a parody, obviously, of Star Wars. In Space Sheep, and we got 1,000 sheep jokes in that game. If you look at the color or the flavor of the game, it's pretty ridiculously funny. The space you are a commander in the serving the Lambda sector in the Supreme. I'm not forgetting all the silly jokes now. I wrote half of them, and Anthony Rubo wrote the other half. But basically, what the game is about is it's all based on colors. You're trying to get the space sheep and the Shepherd class ships back to their home systems. Those Shepherd class ships and the sheep, they're big blocks of wood in there, those both, and the ships happen to look like Millennium Falcons, so again, more of the parody of Star Wars built in. And you're doing that all based on cards. You're going to play cards in colors, so you're going to activate the yellow system to take the instruction that's at the yellow system, or you're going to play a card to move a Shepherd class ship by itself. So you're just trying to move these things around, move these pieces around, until you get them all back to their proper home systems via color. Now, sounds kind of simple, right? It's a puzzle game, and you can make that game more and more complex as you go along. You add systems. You start out the basic game, 4 systems, 4 colors, pretty easy. Add a 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. You can do that way. The instructions can be as simple instructions like, move 1 past the green shepherd. Easy instruction. But what if it's like, move based on the number of sheep that are at their home systems already. So now as you're doing it, you're trying to figure it out. Oh, did I mention this is all in real time, by the way? So there's a real-time timer going down that every 1 minute, the wolf, this alien race known as the wolf, is attacking the space sheep. So you must defend against wolf every minute by playing a card, and cards are power. When you run out of cards in your hand in the draw pile, the game's over. So you have to discard a card every minute to knock down wolf. It's a big, chunky wood block again. He's with a wolf head. You got to knock down wolf. And then the Supreme Flock Commander, he's sort of in charge of the game. He then can, at any time, he'll watch that sand timer. When it gets toward the bottom, he will then flip the sand timer, roll a die to move wolf to a different sector. So, again, it's so many ways to play this game, and such scale. You can go from real easy, simple game to really hard. And then when you're really, crazed about this game and you think you got it all sussed out, you would think it add traders into the game. now you have, like in Battlestar Galactica, you deal everybody a card, an allegiance card, and you can either be a defender, it's a sheep, looking very powerful, or you can look at your card and it's a wolf in sheep commander's clothing. So then you're working against everybody, but it's unknown. Nobody knows if you're the bad guy, and if more than half the players are pointing at somebody in the game, that person's ousted from the game. If they were a wolf, you get the cards back. If they were, working an infiltrator working against you, cards back. That's good. But if you ousted one of your own guys because you thought he was playing badly, you're gonna lose his cards. So you don't want to oust the good guys. You want to try to oust the infiltrators. A lot of fun and great art and awesome components. So
I have to say, it does look absolutely fantastic. And very quickly, what else have you got at the moment?
Sure. Right, actually, here at the show, we also have the Voluspa expansion, Voluspa Order of the Gods. We just brought out Voluspa in July. Fantastic tile-laying game with gorgeous art set in the Norse mythology. We've already expanded it with 4 new tiles, new tokens for the game as well, because some tiles have token effects to change the values of the tiles. If you like tile-laying games, you like the Norse mythology, beautiful art, you're going to like Voluspa and our new expansion. We have that. And what missed the show, in fact, it's on that poster right above me, it missed the show, was Rogue Agent, the next David Ausluis game, who did Panic Station for us. He does very thematic, dripping with theme kind of games. He also has Darker Darkest with Queen Games right now. And unfortunately missed the show. But just in very brief, because it will be out by the end of the year, in Rogue Agent, you are playing what amounts to, you're playing Blade Runner the board game. All right, it's a cyberpunk universe where the city is out of control, crime runs rampant, the police can't help the citizens even. So you're playing that bounty hunter that's trying to bring in criminals, defuse bombs across the city. But if you play it with the Android mode, at some point later in the game, one of you could become an android, and all of a sudden you're working again. So again, a hidden trader thing that will come out of the game toward the end if you want to play that extra extended game. And that's what we got. I mean, it's been a huge year again for Stronghold Games. This is a huge convention. Board Game Geek Con in a few weeks is the culmination of the year for me, and then I hibernate.
You can sleep. After that, you can sleep.
I can finally go to sleep and plan for next year.
Sounds good to us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No, thank you guys for coming by. I really appreciate it. I love talking to you guys. This is great.
It's a pleasure. It really is fantastic to see how huge this stand is this year compared to what you had last year, and how pretty much every single time I pop by, the tables are being full up. It's wonderful to see.
Twice the size of last year, more than twice the size of last year's booth. Dedicated meeting space, big storage. I got a refrigerator with beer in it.
That's what's keeping you going.
No drinking during the day. I told my staff, not allowed. Every night, though, after party, let's go. So, thanks for coming by, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. And this is it for another episode of these interviews that we've been taking at Spiel. Thank goodness we've been blessed with absolutely fantastic weather, so we can come out to say farewell for now. And it is indeed for now. We will be coming back very soon with more interviews. We'll see you then.